In the Xbox 360's life cycle, there were many great mature zombie games released on the console, such as Left 4 Dead, COD Zombies, and Dead Space. But today, I'm going to be looking at some more lighthearted takes on the Undead Uprising, and I will be ranking every zombie game released on Xbox 360 that received a E10 or lower by the ESRB, meaning it's deemed to be overall kid-friendly. Xbox indie titles will not be considered since they did not receive ESRB ratings. Timestamps down the description. The game at the bottom of our list is Darts vs. Zombies, a Kinect game that I think is on Kinect Sports, but also had a standalone release, which is what I played, and it's a 360 exclusive. Developed by Rare and published by Microsoft, this is undoubtedly the worst Kinect game I have ever played, mainly because of the absolutely horrendous controls, which maybe had a 15% success rate when it came to reading my moves, if I'm being generous, which is honestly a little sad because the idea of this game is good, and it is a creative title that's ruined by being a Kinect game. The objectives of this game are simple. You fight off waves of zombies trying to eat pizza on the middle of a dartboard, and you chuck darts at the Zeds to hold them back, and you earn points based off their location, like in a game of darts, and the difficulty increases with each wave. While wave-based zombie horde games weren't anything new at the time of release, the idea of trying to stop Zeeks from eating pizza on a dartboard is funny in my opinion and quite creative. But again, hamstrung by Kinect controls, as the darts are practically impossible to aim, and the Kinect usually would not register that I was doing a throwing motion. This was actually the very first Kinect game I played, and I thought I'd gotten ripped off and the Kinect itself was messed up, so I was a little irked. But I thought to myself, I wonder if it's just this game and not my Kinect, so I fired up a different game and it worked fine, followed by another game, which also ran fine. That's when it dawned on me that Darts vs. Zombies is a broken game and that I had wasted 99 cents on it before the 360 store shut down. I could have bought a roll of toilet paper from Dollar General with that money. I will say this though, as a couple positives. After every game, you get to lead a group of zombies in dancing, which usually read better than the base game, but a nice little comedy touch of being able to lead a group of the undead and showing off your moves. And this game even kind of has a progression system. It's super basic, but it is present. You complete challenges to level up, with 10 levels to progress through, and you earn an achievement for every level. Due to the near unusable controls, I only leveled up twice. I believe this Kinect game did once have online MP, but it's been shut down, so no comment. Graphically, this game does a good job with the cartoonish graphics and actually has a nice soundtrack, but it's just not really playable, and therefore earns a 0.1 out of 10 from me. If the controls actually worked, it probably wouldn't be the lowest ranked game on my list, but with the way things are, definitely a bad game, comes in at the bottom number 6 place on my list. Thankfully, it was only a tiny loss of less than $1, so no biggie. Alrighty, moving on to the number 5 slot on today's list, we have Zombie Wranglers, developed by the now shut down Frozen Codebase and published by Activision. This is a interesting third-person action game, and it's a short title as it can be beat in less than 4 hours. The story to this game is super weird, as it plops you into the game with little context, and it felt like you started a book halfway into it. But to make matters worse in that department, Zombie Wranglers spends the first 3 hours of the game building up a story, which is abruptly abandoned to start a new story, and the ending was not memorable, so this title did not deliver story-wise. Now gameplay-wise, this title is very unique and quite creative, having you exterminate the undead with one of 4 characters: Amy, Dean, Monica, and Yu. I hope I said that right, all of which have their own unique attacks and abilities, and I often played as Dean, who's my favorite of the bunch. This game has a massive variety of zombies, like barfing zombies that can paralyze you, and you also had Zeds like postman zombies who can pepper spray you, skater zombies who run around holding skateboards, or massive Franken zombies, whose weak point is an electric box on their back, just to name a handful of the zombies that this title offers. And your 4 heroes have lots of tools that they use to fight the Zeds, like being able to vacuum up zombies with the Wrangle attack, melee punches which stun opponents, ranged attacks like Dean having a wrist blaster, or one character having a blowgun. And all characters have a unique Zombomb attack, which have limited use and you earn more by collecting and saving moolah, found scattered around the levels and also earned by offing the Zeeks, with the Zombombs being things like you having a distraction doll, similar to the monkey bombs of COD Zombies, or Dean having a ground slam attack that eliminates or weakens most nearby Zeds. So certainly a one-of-a-kind game. Plus, this title offers local co-op, which turns the game into a top-down shooter, and my wife and I had some fun with it. There is also online PvP and co-op, but the servers are vacant, so no comment on that, other than saying that several achievements are sadly locked to online modes. Graphically, this game doesn't look good, even for a title that went for a cartoonish look, and it could probably pass as a GameCube title. The soundtrack and sound effects are okay, but at least the game does run well performance-wise. There is something I should praise Zombie Wranglers for though, and that is the comedy, having some funny dialogue during cutscenes, and every level name is a reference to some form of media, but with the word zombie inserted, like The Sound of Zombie or Gone with the Zombie. And I think that sums up this game well enough, and it earns a 7 out of 10 by my grade scale. I reckon it was worth the $5 USD I paid for it. Alright, time to move on to the next game on today's list. Batting up for the number 4 spot on our list, we have the Walking Dead pinball table from Pinball FX2, developed by Zen Studios and published by Microsoft. I don't have a lot to say about this, as I'm not a huge fan of Telltale's The Walking Dead, but I do like me some pinball, and even though I'm not big into the source inspiration, I'd still say that this is a good table. It has all the pinball essentials, and more than that, having 3 flippers instead of just 2, plus a miniature pinball table in the top left of the table, which, if you get a ball in there, is a surefire way to gain some extra points. And this table also has a first-person shooter sniper minigame, although I'm not 100% certain how to activate it, and I believe if you kill all the Zeeks without missing a single shot, you receive over 2 million points. Now, for those who don't know, Telltale's The Walking Dead is a heavily choice and story-driven game, and Zen Studios sorta worked that into the table, having mini-games which kind of followed this idea. It'd be like, use the flippers to make your choice. Do you help person A or B? Do you side with this person or the other person? Stuff like that. But I'm not too familiar with the source material, like I said earlier, so I can't say a lot about it. Graphically, the table is quite dark compared to a lot of other pinball tables, and the footage shown is with the brightness turned way up. I guess Zen wanted to give it a dreary zombie apocalypse vibe. The sound effects and the OST were pretty nice, I'll give it that. I really don't have more to say about this table, as enjoying a pinball table does often come down to how much you like whatever it's based off, and I was never a big fan of Telltale games, except for maybe the Batman one, but this is a solid table by design, and it earns a 8.5 out of 10 by my grade scale. Moving on to the third place game on my list, we have Plants vs. Zombies Pinball for Pinball FX2. This is a very solid and highly detailed table with a lot of cool features, and it's my personal favorite table created by Zen Studios. Now, they could have taken the easy way out and tossed together a mid-table, but they went all in, adding things like zombies occasionally spawning in, and you taking them out with the pinball to earn coins and points. You also have the Sunflower, who's the table announcer, and like on PopCap's legendary tower defense game, she drops Sun, which gives you points when collected and can be used to unlock items like a Squash, who will exterminate Zeeks, or a Frozen Pea Pinball, which is slower than the normal pinball, making it quite easier to manage, and props to the devs for making the pinball a pea very fitting. In addition to these things, sometimes Crazy Dave drives his store onto the table, and if you hit his car in the correct areas 3 times, he opens his store for you, where you can acquire a power-up of your choice. A bit more about Zen's attention to detail. You have the evil Dr. Zomboss at the end of the table, just chilling out, and the plunger is a corn cob, and chompers will activate kickbacks if you have one active. Gameplay-wise, well, it's pinball. The goal is to reach the highest score possible without running out of balls, and this table has a fun multi-ball mode, which only adds to this already great experience. I will also praise this table for having 4 flippers instead of 2, as some tables have. The soundtrack is the amazing OST from Plants vs. Zombies, and this table is great for me, as I love pinball, and PvZ is one of my personal favorite games of all time, and I own it on 3 different devices, 4 if we count mobile. So combining the amazing Plants vs. Zombies and pinball with Zen Studios in the development chair, you're gonna get a great product. 9.8 out of 10 by my grade scale. I believe this was $4.99 before the 360 store closed, and it was money well spent. Moving on up to the second place game on my list. Wow, I'm a bad singer. That sounded awful. Anyways, the second place game on today's list is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. Developed by PopCap and published by EA, the Xbox One version is one of my favorite games of all time, but due to console restrictions and the phasing out of the 360 at the time of release, the last-gen version isn't quite as good as its Xbox One brother. So, this is a online-only third-person shooter that largely focuses on PvP multiplayer, but sadly, it is near impossible to find an MP match on 360 these days. But even if the lobbies were full, the 360 version lacks the boss MP feature, in which you could play as Crazy Dave or Dr. Zomboss by providing air support from above the maps. Although I believe this feature was only on Xbox One, not even being on PS4 or PC if what I read is correct. So, with the MP servers vacant, you can only really play the Horde Survival Garden Ops mode, which has a fun split screen option on Xbox One, which sadly didn't make it to the 360 port. That being said, Garden Ops is a lot of fun, but it does get boring after a while of playing on solo. You basically have to defend a garden for 10 waves of zombie onslaughts, with 2 waves being boss battles, like vampire zombies or a gargantuar. You can play as one of 4 plants from Plants vs. Zombies, being a sunflower, a pea shooter, a cactus, or a chomper, all of which have their own strengths, weaknesses, and unlockable variants. And the sunflower is probably my favorite of the bunch due to her healing abilities. Now, all this being said, every now and then, on the super rare occasion, you can find someone playing Garden Ops on 360 with an open lobby, but this is really uncommon, and while Garden Ops can be played on solo, it still requires an internet connection and is much better with friends in my opinion. Graphically, this game nails its cartoonish look, although needless to say, the next-gen version looks even better. The sound effects and the OST are stellar, and Garden Warfare is an absolute blast. I just wish more people were playing the 360 version these days, as the PvP is insanely fun, but with the emptiness of the lobbies, you're really only stuck with the side mode. All things said, this game earns a 9.9 out of 10 by my grade scale as my second favorite kid-friendly zombie game on the 360. And if you haven't yet been able to guess what the number one spot is, it's good old Plants vs. Zombies, one of the best games of all time in my opinion, and a title that I have a ton of nostalgia for. Do I even need to introduce this one? Probably all of you watching this have either played it or know how the game works. Shoot, even my grandmother knows what PvZ is. But for those who might happen to be unacquainted with this title, it's a 2D tower defense game where you defend a house from cartoon-like zombies that want to eat your brain, and you use plants to hold back the undead hordes. This game is beyond original and creative, and it recently received a crappy port to some modern devices, although apparently about all the devs really did was slap on some AI upscaling and quadruple the price. Even though the original devs said they were willing to work on the remaster, EA just gave them the finger and used AI instead. But that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to talk about the original goated PvZ, the one made with actual passion and love before PopCap was bought by evil a-holes. I mean Electronic Arts. Anyways, this game has a 50-level campaign spread out across 5 different environments, for lack of a better word, being your front and backyards with daytime variants, and then the final area is on your roof, in which the Zeds are trying to get into your house via the chimney, and on your first playthrough, you unlock a new plant with every level, keeping the game constantly fresh. This game also has a really fun New Game Plus mode, in addition to having boatloads of side content, like mini-games, puzzle games, an endless survival mode, local co-op and PvP. The original Plants vs. Zombies is a gift that just keeps on giving. And while sure, there isn't a lot to the story, this title is just pure simple fun for all ages, and was at one point the only zombie game that my strict mother allowed me to play. The graphics are beyond amazing for what this indie game is, and the soundtrack, composed by Laura Shigihara, I hope I said that right, is absolutely amazing. I have never heard anyone say anything bad about this game ever, and even my non-gamer wife loves this game, and it earns a 9.9 out of 10 as my favorite kid-friendly Xbox 360 zombie game. $5. Very, very wisely invested. And that's my ranking of all 6 zombie games to release on the Xbox 360 with an E or an E10 rating. After extensive research, these were the only games I could find under that criteria, but if I missed a game, please forgive me and tell me down below what game I didn't discuss. But after hours of searching, this was all I could come up with. What do you think of my list? Would you agree or disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. And for any newcomers to my channel, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games. And I do largely play Xbox 360 titles specifically, so feel free to check out some of my other vids if that sounds like your thing. As far as our Bible verse of the day, I read James 4:7 NIV. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. And going off script, this video, it took a lot of work, and if you stuck around to the end, I really do appreciate it, as these long videos take a lot of time, and I hope y'all enjoyed. And like always, none of my content is made by AI, I proudly create my own stuff. Let's keep YouTube human, and I never consent to my voice and likeness being modified, altered, and copied by AI in any way. Jesus loves you all, have a good one, thanks again for watching, peace. Or massive Franken-zombies, whose weak point is an electric box on their back, just to name a handful of the titles that this